Welcome back to JF Coin, the channel where we explore the hidden treasures, amazing values, and fascinating history of USA coins. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most talked about and widely collected coins in American history, the Lincoln penny. Specifically, we will focus on the 1973 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that may look ordinary at first glance but carries incredible stories, history, and in some cases, shocking values in today's coin market. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was a revolutionary move at that time because it was the very first coin in American history to feature the portrait of a real historical figure instead of symbolic designs. The penny became an instant favorite, and over time, the Lincoln cent has gone through several design changes, but it has always kept Lincoln's iconic profile on the obverse side. Now, let's fast forward to 1973. The 1973 Lincoln penny may look like a simple copper coin that most people ignore, but collectors know that certain examples of this coin are worth much more than just 1 cent. The reason lies in its composition, history, mint marks, and of course, condition. In 1973, the U.S. Mint produced the Lincoln cent at 3 different locations: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with the D mint mark, and San Francisco with the S mint mark. Each mint produced millions of coins, but not all 1973 pennies are created equal. Collectors pay special attention to varieties, mint errors, and proof coins that were struck with extra care for collectors. Now, let's talk about composition. The 1973 Lincoln cent was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the big change that happened in 1982, when pennies switched to mostly zinc with just a thin copper plating. Because of its high copper content, even the metal inside a 1973 penny has a higher melt value than modern pennies. But of course, coin collectors do not value pennies just for the copper. Rarity, condition, and demand are what really drive prices in the marketplace. So, how much can a 1973 penny really be worth? The answer may surprise you. In circulated condition, most 1973 pennies are still only worth a few cents, maybe up to 10 or 15 cents if the coin is in very fine condition. But when we look at uncirculated examples, especially those with a high mint state grade or proof strikes, the value can climb dramatically. For example, a 1973 Lincoln penny graded MS-65 or higher by a professional grading service can easily sell for several dollars. But it does not stop there. Special errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or coins with unusual minting flaws, can push values into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One of the most valuable varieties collectors look for is the 1973 S-proof Lincoln cent. These proof coins were struck at the San Francisco Mint with polished dies. Welcome back to JF Coin, the home of rare and valuable coins where history and treasure come together. Today we are going to talk about one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1974 Lincoln penny. At first glance, this coin looks like an ordinary 1-cent piece that you might find in your pocket or in a jar of change at home, but what if I told you that some of these coins are worth not just cents, not just dollars, but hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in some cases even more? Yes, the humble 1974 1-cent coin can actually be a hidden fortune if you know what to look for. The Lincoln penny has been around since 1909, when it was first issued to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin became one of the longest-running and most beloved designs in U.S. coinage history. For decades it was minted in copper, but the year 1974 brought something very unusual and experimental. The United States Mint was testing alternatives to copper because the price of copper had risen sharply. The Mint was worried that the cost of producing pennies was becoming too high. So in 1974 they struck experimental coins not just in copper but also in aluminum and bronze-clad steel. Now here is where the story becomes incredible. Around 1.5 million aluminum cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1974 and given out to members of Congress for review. But soon it was decided that aluminum would not be a good choice because the coins could damage vending machines and also would not show up on X-ray machines, which was a concern for public health and safety. Almost all of these aluminum cents were supposed to be destroyed. However, a few survived and entered private hands. These rare aluminum 1974 Lincoln pennies are now some of the most sought-after rarities in American numismatics. Imagine finding a coin like this in your collection. One specimen of the 1974 aluminum cent has been valued at nearly $2 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, a 1-cent coin worth close to $2 million. These coins are so rare that only a handful are known today, and some are still the subject of legal battles between collectors and the U.S. Mint. But that is not the only valuable variety of the 1974 penny. There are also copper coins, steel experimental strikes, and certain error coins that can bring incredible premiums. For example, most 1974 pennies were struck in copper with a weight of about 3.11 grams. But if you come across a 1974 penny that has unusual metal composition, or one that looks different in color and weight, you might be holding a true treasure. Now let us talk about the current market values of these coins. A regular 1974 Lincoln penny in circulated condition is usually worth only 1 cent. In uncirculated condition you might see values between 10 cents and $1. If the coin has been preserved in mint state condition, bright red with no wear, collectors may pay up to 10 or. Welcome back to JF Coin, the place where coin lovers, collectors, and treasure hunters gather to explore the hidden value and amazing history of United States coins. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating coins of the modern era, the Lincoln penny 1 cent from 1976. This coin may look ordinary to some, but for collectors and enthusiasts, it carries a rich story, surprising details, and in certain cases, a market value that could shock you. Stay tuned because by the end of this video you will understand why the 1976 Lincoln penny is not just another small piece of copper in your pocket but a coin that can be worth serious money today. Let us begin with the background. The Lincoln cent has been one of the most iconic coins of the United States since its first appearance in 1909. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin was created to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. This was the very first regular issue U.S. coin to feature the image of a real person. The design was so powerful and meaningful that it has remained with us for more than a century, with only a few changes over the decades. Now when we specifically look at the year 1976, something very important was happening in America. It was the year of the United States bicentennial celebration. The nation was celebrating 200 years of independence, and many special commemorative coins were issued that year including quarters, half dollars, and dollars that carried unique dual-date designs 1776 to 1976. But here is where the story of the Lincoln penny becomes even more interesting. The penny was not given a special bicentennial design. Instead, it continued with the familiar Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet even though the penny looked unchanged, collectors today know that certain 1976 Lincoln cents can hold extraordinary value depending on their condition, their mint mark, and their rarity. The 1976 Lincoln penny was struck in 3 main U.S. mint facilities. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without any mint mark. The Denver Mint produced coins with the small d mint mark located under the date. And the San Francisco Mint struck proof coins with an S mint mark for collectors. Now the fascinating part is that even though millions upon millions of pennies were produced in 1976, not all of them are equal. Most of these pennies are still worth just 1 cent in circulation, but if you have one in exceptional condition or with an error variety, the value can jump dramatically. Let us talk about the composition. The 1976 penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, just like pennies had been for decades prior to 1982. This makes them heavier than the modern zinc pennies of today. A 1976 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. Collectors pay special attention to weight, luster, and surface quality when grading these coins. If you have a coin that is uncirculated with its original mint luster shining brie. Welcome back to JF Coin, the channel where we discover the hidden treasures in your pocket change and reveal the fascinating history and value of coins that might just be sitting in your collection today. In this video we are diving deep into one of the most collected coins in American history, the Lincoln penny, and today our spotlight is on the 1977 Lincoln penny 1 cent. You may think this tiny copper coin is ordinary, but let me tell you, this coin has an incredible story, and in certain conditions it is worth much more than its face value. Some examples have even sold for hundreds of dollars, and in the right market rare varieties can climb into the thousands. Stay with me until the end because I will break down the history, the details, the errors, and the current market value so you know exactly what to look for in your 1977 penny. Let us start with the background. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the beloved 16th President of the United States. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent was the very first regular issue coin to feature the portrait of an actual American president. Over the decades it has become not just a piece of change but a powerful symbol of history. By the year 1977 the Lincoln penny was still struck in copper with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. That is an important detail because after 1982 the U.S. Mint changed the composition to mostly zinc with a thin copper plating, making these earlier copper cents much more desirable for collectors. Now let's look at the specifics of the 1977 penny. In 1977 the U.S. Mint produced these coins at three main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, the Denver coins show a small D under the date, and the San Francisco Mint struck proof coins with an S mint mark. The total mintage was in the billions, which means there are plenty of 1977 pennies out there. But here's the secret: not all 1977 pennies are created equal. Condition, rarity, and errors can make the difference between 1 cent and $1,000. When we talk about coin collecting, condition is king. Collectors use the Sheldon scale, which grades coins from poor 1 all the way up to mint state 70. A 1977 penny that has been circulated and shows heavy wear will usually be worth just face value. But when you find one in uncirculated condition with sharp details, original luster, and no scratches or spots, the value jumps significantly. A 1977 Lincoln cent in mint state 65 red, for example, can sell for around $30 to $50 today. Move up to mint state 67 red and now we are talking serious money, with auction prices reaching several $100s. The record price for a 1977 penny in top condition has reached into the high thousands. That means the penny you overlooked could actually be a treasure if it is preserved in pristine quality. But condition is. Hello friends, welcome back to JF Coin, the channel where we talk about rare coins, hidden treasures from your pocket change, and the secret value of coins that many people do not even realize they have. Today we are going to explore a very special and highly collectible coin, the 1988 Lincoln penny 1 cent coin. This coin may look like an ordinary penny that you might find in your change, but do not be fooled because there are hidden secrets and surprising values behind it that can shock you. Let us start with a little background and history. The Lincoln penny, also known as the Lincoln cent, first appeared in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. The design has changed a little over the years, but the obverse, the front of the coin, always carries the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln that was designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse of the coin was originally the wheat ears design, but in 1959 it was changed to the Lincoln Memorial, which lasted until 2008. Before the new shield design came in 2010. Now the 1988 Lincoln cent is very special because of the mint mark and some very unique varieties. The D mint mark means that this penny was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado in 1988. Billions of Lincoln pennies were produced at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. However, only certain varieties from this year can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One of the most famous and valuable varieties is known as the 1988 Lincoln cent with the reverse of 1989. This is sometimes called the transitional reverse variety because the mint was preparing for a design change in 1989. Some reverse dies were mistakenly used on 1988 cents. This variety shows small differences, especially in the FG initials at the bottom of the reverse side. The G In FG is more curved in the 1989 style, and if your 1988D penny has this feature, you might be holding a coin that can be worth a fortune. Collectors are always hunting for this rare transitional variety, and depending on condition and grade, these coins can sell for hundreds to even thousands of dollars. For example, in high mint state grades such as MS65 or higher, certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC, prices have reached well over $1,000. Some examples in perfect condition even crossed $2,000 at auction. This makes the 1988D transitional reverse penny one of the most exciting finds in modern coinage. But that is not the only thing you should look for. Errors and varieties play a huge role in coin collecting. Double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and die cracks can also add premium value to your 1988D penny. If you have one that looks unusual, always make sure to check it carefully under magnification, and if you think you have something valuable, consider getting it graded by a professional service. Now let us talk about the current market value. A normal 1988D penny in circulated condition is usually worth only face value, which is 1 cent. Boo! Welcome back everyone to JF Coin, the channel where we bring you the most exciting stories, hidden treasures, and real market values of United States coins. Today's video is going to be one of the most fascinating episodes because we are diving deep into a coin that many people think is ordinary but can actually be worth a surprising amount of money if you know what to look for. We are talking about the Lincoln penny, specifically the 1993D 1 cent coin. Stay tuned until the very end because you might just discover that the small penny lying around in your pocket change or coin jar could be worth a lot more than you ever imagined. Let's begin with the history. The Lincoln cent is one of the longest-running coin series in American history. It was first introduced back in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. The design featured his portrait on the obverse, making it the first regular-issue United States coin to bear the likeness of a real person. The reverse side originally carried the wheat ears design, but starting in 1959 the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. The coin remained in that style for decades, and the 1993D cent is part of this very famous memorial series. Now, let's talk specifically about the 1993D penny. The letter D stands for the Denver Mint, where this coin was struck. The Denver Mint produced a massive number of Lincoln cents in 1993, meaning billions were made, so at first glance you might think it is a very common coin with no value beyond 1 cent. But here's where it gets interesting. While most 1993D pennies will only be worth their face value, collectors around the world pay huge premiums for examples that are in top condition or have rare minting errors. So what makes a 1993D penny valuable? Number 1, its condition. If your coin has been in circulation, it probably has scratches, discoloration, or wear on the high points of the design. These circulated coins are worth only a few cents. However, uncirculated coins straight from mint sets or bank rolls can be worth much more. A shiny red example with no marks, known as a mint state coin, can sell anywhere from a few dollars to hundreds of dollars depending on the exact grade. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC use a 70-point scale to determine the quality of a coin. Most coins are found in grades below MS65, but if you happen to find one in MS67 or higher, then you are talking about real money. The record prices for 1993D Lincoln cents in superb gem grades have reached into the thousands of dollars. Imagine turning a penny into a treasure worth hundreds or even thousands just because it was preserved in pristine condition. The second factor that collectors go crazy for is minting errors. These mistakes happen during the coin's production and can include double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, or even broad strikes. A dramatic off-center strike.